right, so hello and welcome. This is Dustin Guinee, and you've reached Open Minds, Open Hearts, and this is session 30, full of grateful. And so I'm very excited. We've reached 30 sessions. It's a big deal. We started this back in June of 2020, and so really happy and grateful to be with you today to meditate on gratitude. We have some great readings and quotes and some science around gratitude. We'll talk a little bit about gratitude journaling, which I've gotten really into this year. And then we'll do a gratitude meditation. It's actually a visualization of a gratitude fountain. So hope you enjoy that. That's coming up. But first, if you missed the last session, that was session 29, Stress Less Through Breath. That is up online. You can find it on my website, openmindsopenhearts.org. And that one, we really kind of went deep in on stress. We talked about how the breath and slowing down the breath helps relieve stress and anxiety. We talked about different breathing techniques in our guided meditation. We did some circular breathing, box breathing. We did the 365 method breathing, which is just a fancy way of saying inhale for 5 seconds, exhale for 5 seconds. If you ever need to calm yourself down, remember that. That's kind of the optimum breath there. So yeah, that's a good one. So I would definitely recommend checking out session 29. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and just jump on in to session 30. All right. So jumping on in, session 30, full of grateful. And for those that are with me here, as we record this session, you may be aware. So this is going to be my last session for some time. I'm going on a hiatus to work on other projects. For those that know me, I have a full-time job and I have 2 young kids and a wife. And so this has been a true labor of love that I just really I couldn't be more grateful to have been a part of this, even though I was kind of the teacher and leading it. I still feel like I was a student really, because I was getting kind of certified in meditation mindfulness as I started this back in June of 2020. For anyone that remembers that time, it was a tumultuous time. COVID had just kind of erupted across the world. There was the murders of George Floyd, an African-American, at the hands of a white police officer, and riots literally in the streets of LA and throughout the US and the world. And, here I was just kind of starting this humble little meditation. Used to be a biweekly, and then we moved it to a monthly, but, there's a lot of folks that came. Some of those folks are with me here today. Some of those folks here virtually, and just thank you so much to everybody that has participated in this. I know meditation and mindfulness for me has been a game changer in my life, especially meditation. Becoming a daily meditator has been a game changer. And so these classes have aimed to give you all some insights, some practical tips, some science-based learning, and a little bit of mysticism along the way to guide you on your journey, to be a little bit more mindful in your day-to-day life, and to hopefully establish some kind of meditation practice. We're all getting there. Even if it is just 1 minute a day, just focusing on your breath 1 minute a day. Even if it's just when you notice your stress starting to ratchet up, you remember to take a deep breath and count to 5. Breathe in for 5, exhale for 5. Just remembering that, even just one deep breath, to be mindful of one deep breath, especially when it matters most, when the tension is rising, when the stress is rising, to come back to that one deep breath and reset. That is what this is all about. So I thank you for participating in this journey. And with that, let's jump on in. So we're going to set an intention, read some inspired writings. We're going to talk a little bit about gratitude and some science behind it, some research around gratitude journaling and gratitude letter writing. And then we'll do a guided meditation on gratitude today, a visualization of a gratitude fountain. And then at the end, we'll do a conversation for those of us joining us in real time. So let's go ahead and set an intention for today's session. So an intention is based on principles and values, less on goals. So principles and values, intentions for today could be, my intention is to reflect on what I'm grateful for. My intention is to cultivate gratitude, even in difficult times. My intention is to start a gratitude practice, like gratitude journaling. So take a moment and reflect on your intention for today's session on gratitude, thankfulness. And as you think about your intention for today, tomorrow, the rest of the week, usually what comes to the heart and the heart's mind first is the right direction. So let's go with that. Okay, so there's a lot of great quotes out there on gratitude, as I'm sure you can't imagine. So have a few for you today. This first one is from Roy T. Bennett. He's an American author. And he says, be grateful for what you already have while you pursue your goals. If you aren't grateful for what you already have, what makes you think you would be happy with more? So, yeah, I really love that idea. I can relate to striving for goals. It's a very American Western thing, always striving for goals. But in this quest for achieving different milestones and goals, don't take for granted all the great things that you have in your life, right? If you're not grateful for what you already have, what makes you think you'd be happy with more, right? And we hear these stories time and again of people that amass this great wealth, and it's never good enough, and they're never fully satisfied, right? And they keep buying bigger and bigger toys, thinking that it's gonna somehow fill this void, when in fact it doesn't, right? Because ultimately these material things are never going to fill this kind of void that many of us feel in our lives, especially those within this kind of American consumer system, where we often feel like a number at our work, or maybe just a consumer, buying products and services. So, that whole system, we really got to be mindful of that, right? We got to take a step back from that, because those material possessions are not ultimately what's going to bring us joy. It's going to be all those little connections that we make every day with our friends and family and loved ones, and the way we treat people and the way they treat us, and just all those precious little moments. Really, those are the moments that really, when you reflect on what you're grateful for, like, it's those moments that matter the most. And the Buddha, I'd be remiss if we didn't have a quote from the Buddha. So he says, let us rise up and be thankful, for if we didn't learn a lot today, at least we learned a little. And if we didn't learn a little, at least we didn't get sick. And if we got sick, at least we didn't die. So let us all be thankful. And I love how practical and frank that is. Like it's like, hey, you didn't die today, so things are looking up. you know so but he starts this kind of progression of like, what do we learn today? Like that's like let's start with that, and then if we can reflect on what we learned, then we can start to be grateful for something, right? Because learning is growth, right? So there could have been a challenge, or what we would call a problem, right? But if we reframe the problem as a learning experience, then it's not a problem anymore, right? Now it's a growth opportunity, right? So I think that's kind of what the Buddha's getting at, right? And if that challenge in your life, you're like, the hell with that. I didn't learn anything from that. Well, hey, you didn't die, right? You might have got sick, but you're not dead. Okay, so progress, right? Maybe we'll have a better day tomorrow, right? There's always something to be grateful for. And then Melody Beatty, also another American author, she says, gratitude turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos into order, confusion into clarity. It makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. And I mean, that's wow. Like that's like everything. Gratitude is everything. It's so powerful. It makes what we have enough, right? Like when we reflect on those little things, we have shelter, we have food, we have clothes, like all these basic necessities that we often take for granted until we reflect on gratitude. Turning chaos into order, confusion into clarity, right? Because if we're focused on the half empty part of the glass, what do we see? We see fear, doubt, worry, lack, negativity. We focus on the half full part of the glass. What do we see? We see learning opportunities, growth. We see abundance, all these things to be grateful for. So yeah, gratitude is a powerful key to unlock greater joy, happiness, compassion in our own lives. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about some of the science. Well, I always like to talk a little science here at Open Minds, Open Hearts. And gratitude is good for your health. So there is some good science to back this up. Been a lot of different studies about the psychology of gratitude and how it affects both mental and physical health. And what the researchers are finding, increased happiness and positive mood by practicing gratitude, more satisfaction with life, less materialistic, less focus on, all the stuff, all the toys, less likely to experience burnout. Reflecting on what you're grateful for kind of helps you reset, helps lower that stress and anxiety, which, ultimately gives you better physical health, allows you to sleep better, less fatigue. It's a really energizing practice to reflect gratitude and practice gratitude. Even lowers levels of inflammation. Right? You're lowering your stress hormone cortisol. You're lowering inflammation. Your body is working at an optimum state as you continue to practice gratitude. Greater resiliency, and encourages the development of patience, humility, and wisdom. So really it's, it is kind of a cure-all, gratitude. There's really a lot of benefits, both physical and mental and spiritual. that we can get from practicing gratitude. So we talk a lot about meditation, mindfulness, but there's also other practices like gratitude journaling, or letters of gratitude, where you actually write a letter to somebody, and express your thanks and gratitude. And preferably you send the letter to that person, but you don't have to necessarily. But so some researchers actually did a study where they looked at people that wrote a gratitude letter to a friend or family once a week for 3 weeks. And then they had a few control groups, people that wrote a letter, but they didn't write a gratitude letter. And then a third group that didn't write any letters. And so they kind of looked at the participants afterwards, kind of took their, a mental health and a physical health check after 3 weeks of writing gratitude letters. And so the insights that they found were gratitude disconnects us from toxic negative emotions and the ruminating that often accompanies them. So rumination is often what continues that loop of anxiety going and going, right? We get a fear, doubt, or worry in our head, and then we start thinking worst case scenarios. And then next thing you know, we're just ruminating on this issue that could really kind of spiral out of control. But the writing a gratitude letter, it shifts our attention so that our focus is on positive emotions, right? So expressing gratitude also helps, even if we don't explicitly share it with someone. So we are happier and more satisfied with life, just by writing why we're grateful. So that's where this gratitude journal comes in. And I personally have been using, this is actually my journal. I took a few photos of here. And you can get this on Amazon. It's called the Good Days Start with Gratitude Journal. There's a lot of these online. I personally like this one because it's very simple. There's only 3 lines for each day. And so you're basically just writing 3 sentences of what you're grateful for. Typically people do this in the morning or in the evening. I like to do this in the evening right before I go to bed. It helps me kind of reflect on my day. And it helps me kind of settle into sleep, thinking about what I'm grateful for. Last night I started this in January, and I haven't been good with every night. I've been trying to be consistent, but it's hard. But I may miss a few nights and then get back on the wagon. But when I look at the posts that I put in here, they're all so simple. Like it's very rare that there's some like really big thing in here. Like a lot of the things are like spending time with my daughters or spending time with my wife, playing Legos with my daughters, going with friends and family to the beach, enjoying a beautiful sunny day, smelling a flower. Like just these little simple things that we take for granted, those tend to be the greatest things in my life. And doing this gratitude journaling has really helped me see that. So yeah, like basically as you reflect on gratitude, the positive effects of it start to compound like interest, right? So it's one of those things where you may not notice the effect on yourself several weeks or even months into doing it, but over time it becomes a practice, and your brain starts to become wired to really see the gratitude in almost every situation. So it's really training the brain to be more in tune to experience gratitude, because it becomes a lens from which we see the world when we put on this gratitude lens. So yeah, it's super powerful. couldn't recommend gratitude journaling any higher. Makes a great stocking stuffer if you're thinking about the holidays. So I think I'm definitely going to be getting some for the family this year for sure. Great. So yeah, with that, let's go ahead and settle into our meditation. And let's begin. Hello and welcome. This is Dustin Guinee, and today we will be doing a gratitude meditation and with a visualization of a fountain of gratitude. So this is a visualization where I'm going to take you on a little bit of a journey into the mind, into the heart, to this sacred space, this garden in which we will visit a gratitude fountain and reflect upon what we're grateful for. The practice of gratitude is a very powerful practice. As you reflect on gratitude, you begin to see the half full part of the glass. Everything that is going right in your life, and maybe even the things that seem to be going wrong. Maybe there's even an opportunity to find some gratitude, even in those challenges, especially if they're growth opportunities and we're learning from those challenges. So as we reflect on gratitude, it can be as simple as your breath and being grateful that you can breathe. It can be great gratitude for somebody in your life, a friend, family, loved one. Grateful for whatever it is that comes to you. Just know that it's coming to you for a reason. So we all find our connection to gratitude in our own way. So let's go ahead and get started with a few deep breaths. So deep breath in through the nose, filling up the diaphragm, and release. Releasing through the mouth. And deep breath in through the nose, filling up the diaphragm, and release. Releasing through the mouth. And deep breath in through the nose, filling up the belly, and release. And know that you can always come back to the breath anytime you need to resettle or refocus. And I'd like to invite you to close your eyes and start to imagine that you're in a beautiful garden right now. You're in this exquisite garden surrounded by trees and flowers and bushes. And really, this garden is kind of your own personal sanctuary. You really are the designer and creator of this garden. So you can decide to make it however you like, however you wish, whatever your heart's desire. This sacred space is for you inside of your mind and your heart. You have access to this mystical garden. And as you move through the garden, notice the way that you feel. Notice the temperature. Notice the feelings or the fragrances. Perhaps there's the smell of flowers in the air. Perhaps there's a warm sunshine on your face. Feel those sensations that bring you into that place of joy and relaxation. And as you settle into this garden, there appears a path up ahead. There's this stone path, a beautiful stone path. It's perfectly lit, and it seems to be calling you into the thick of these trees. And there seems to be a pull that's calling you to this path. So as you begin to walk the path, feeling the sensations, smelling the flowers, and shaded by these powerful trees, you approach a fountain up ahead. And this fountain is an exquisitely beautiful fountain. It seems to be made of stone, and it's very calming. It's a nice, relaxing, bubbling fountain. And so as you approach, you begin to approach the water, and you decide to put your hand in the water. You cup your hands. You cup your hands and you bring the water up to your lips, and you take a drink. And you taste this water. And it's so pure. It's the best water you've ever had. It's perfect. It's cleansing your palate. It's making you feel refreshed. It's almost euphoric. It's not like any other water you've ever had before. And you begin to realize that this is not just any fountain. This fountain is a source of eternal love and abundance and creativity and joy and gratitude. These waters are living waters, and this is a fountain of gratitude. And here at this fountain of gratitude, this is your inner heart, your inner mind. There's this infinite abundance of insight and wisdom and joy and thankfulness that we're now surrounded by. And you may want to try with your hands too. You may want to try a mudra if you would like the Dayana Mudra. It's basically where we cup our hands, kind of palms facing up. So right hand over the left, palms facing up, and our thumbs touching tip to tip. And we can do this mudra. We can just settle it down in the middle of our lap. And so the hands become almost like a bowl right there. And you can imagine that we have some of this sacred water in our hands in this bowl. We're holding this infinite abundance and grace. And just sitting in this space, feeling refreshed and rejuvenated by these healing waters. And in this space, we can reflect on what we're grateful for. Could be something that happened in your day. It could be somebody in your life that you want to reflect on and give gratitude towards. It could be something really simple, like the fact that you're here and you're breathing. Simple and yet profound. just reflect upon how grateful you are in this moment. Because this gratitude is not happening in the past. It's not about the future. This is about connecting where you are right now and just reflecting on all you have to be grateful for. We're counting our blessings. And there's a lot of blessings to account for. And so we're here at this fountain, and as we sit by the fountain, we continue to take a few more drinks of this water. We're feeling connected. We're feeling rejuvenated. We're connecting to a higher self, a higher part of our nature when we're here at this gratitude fountain. And this fountain is also, the waters of this fountain are feeding the entire garden around us. We begin to notice that there's little canals of water running all throughout the garden, and this water is feeding the plants and the flowers. There's animals, there's birds. This water is truly giving life to the entire park and garden around us. And in the fountain, we see lotus flowers, which are very beautiful flowers that sit on the water surface. And we see these lotus flowers, and if you like, we can also do a lotus mudra with our hands, which essentially what you do is you bring your hands almost like flower petals. You bring them together. You bring your pinky together and your thumb together, and you allow your other fingers to point up to the sky, and you spread your fingers out almost like a flower. Okay, and you just let that sit just underneath your chin, kind of right in front of your heart. The lotus mudra is known for opening up the heart chakra. And much like the flower opens up to the sun, the lotus mudra opens up our hearts. Opens up our hearts to the present moment. Opens up our hearts to all we have to be grateful for in this moment. Opens up our hearts to being a little softer, a little more compassionate, or maybe somebody that we didn't deal with in the way that we wanted to, or maybe they were talking to us in a way we didn't like, or we got offended, or maybe there was something that happened that we weren't proud of. So this heart mudra, this lotus mudra, we're opening up our hearts even to a challenging situation. Opening up our hearts to learn the lessons that we need to learn, even when things don't go the way that we want them to. Because often that's really where some of the greatest lessons are. And so we just breathe that in. We accept the present moment as it is. And we open up our hearts to this life-giving water, this fountain of gratitude. We allow ourselves to be immersed in it. And feel free to put your hands down if you like. And just give thanks for this opportunity to be here at the fountain, this fountain of gratitude. And know that anytime you need to come back to this fountain is available to you anytime. whether day or night, 24/7, this abundance, this source, this inner source of joy, this infinite gratitude and thankfulness, this power is available to us if we bring our awareness to it. Come back to this sacred space within our hearts. And just breathe that in. Just breathe in. So much love, so much to be thankful for. So many lessons to be learned. If I have my health, thank you for my health. If I am sick, thank you that I am still alive. And if I'm not alive, well, and I don't know how you got here, but welcome. But for everybody else that still has a beating heart, thank you for my beating heart. Thank you for this ability to breathe. And as we begin to leave the fountain, we begin to make our way back to that stone path. We enjoyed our time at the fountain, but it's okay. We can always come back later. You know, life is not always going to take place at a gratitude fountain. We got to go back and take part in the dance of life. So we make our way back down the stone path and back to the entrance of this garden, knowing that this sacred space is precious to us. And now that we know that it's here, we can come back. We remember the way. If we stay awake and remember, we know the way back to the gratitude fountain. So, in closing, I would like to share a poem that I've written entitled "Full of Grateful." Full of grateful for this time to be with you, bathing in sunshine. Grateful for this day, shared with family and friends. Timeless love we share, our bond will never end. Grateful for this moment, breathing it in brings a realization that the little things are the biggest things. Playing with my children, connecting with my wife. A home, food, and clothing. I'm grateful for my life. The ability to walk, the power of sight. Learning from the darkness while soaking in the light. Grateful for the truth. Lessons learned as a child. To be honest with myself. Refine the infinite from the wild. My father's wise counsel. My mother's compassionate heart. Their examples laid the foundation that gave me a head start. An advantage in this race that I still waste in my desires. Grateful, I'm aware, my soul is not done in the fire. Ego cleansed in the flames, till all wanting is absolved. Insights in the suffering, to act with more resolve. Money brings security, comfort creates ease, but the things surrounding me blow away like dust in breeze. All I have left at the end of my days is my virtues and my service while walking on the way. Though I've strayed many times on this path, I'm grateful for the tears I've shed and grateful for the laughs. I'm doing the work and the job is never done. Little by little, day by day, an ending has begun. A beginning that has no end, infinitely merging with the divine, full of grateful with you, bathing in sunshine, ascending into the heavens, free from space and time, full of grateful we are, swimming in a sea of light. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.